Everything is more expensive now, including NBA contracts,
There you go.
including NFL contracts, including baseball contracts. We're going to start with some of the fallout from the Donovan Mitchell contract extension. And I say fallout, I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah.
But just some of the 48-hour afterwards. We've had all the time to process it. We've had all the time to digest and think about the pros, the cons. Was it worth it? Did they have a choice? All of that. So we're going to have a little 48-hour review of this Donovan Mitchell contract situation. If you guys weren't here, if you've been living under a rock, earlier this week, Donovan Mitchell signed a 4-year, $273 million Supermax extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It eliminates his player option for next season, locks him in, then adds 3 more seasons on after that. The year-by-year breakdown on this contract looks like this. In 2028, the first year of the extension, a 31-year-old Donovan Mitchell will be making almost $61 million. The following year, 2029, a 32-year-old Donovan Mitchell will be making close to $66 million. In 2030, 33-year-old Donovan Mitchell will be making $70.1 million. And in 2031, a 34-year-old Donovan Mitchell will be making $75.3 million. It is worth noting that Karl Anthony Towns is up for the exact same extension Donovan Mitchell is. We'll see what the Knicks do with that, but those numbers that Cat could get would look identical to the numbers that Donovan Mitchell got. Zach, you weren't here the day that he signed his Supermax. Your thoughts real quick, just overall, on Donovan's decision to sign now as opposed to waiting, and whether or not it was a good move for the Cavs.
Well, this isn't an especially profound or unique thought, but you worry about later. You have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, and you have a team in this window, LeBron or no LeBron, right? You do this deal. And what's scary, if those numbers are staggering, is he actually left money on the table to do this now.
He could have got an $80 million extra year had he waited.
Yes, and we'll talk about why he maybe thought that and all of that. But look, this is the cost of doing business. And in the NBA's apron era, where we are, you're going to ride one guy. And so they're paying this money to have Donovan Mitchell for 27, for 28. And the whole team is going to look much different in the back 3 of those years. And there might be a rebuilding project involved. There might be hitting on some summer league guys. But you have to pay it. And look, I know people want Donovan, and everyone wants Donovan to have had more postseason success. But like, this guy has come, he's embraced the community. He's delivered big games. He's embraced his role as the leader of this franchise, at least for right now. And this is a no-brainer extension for the Cavs. And this is what the NBA has created with this system. So, like I said, you can, I agree, if those numbers look staggering, but your alternative is not having Donovan Mitchell on your team.
Yeah, man. You can look at it a couple ways. Like, no car, no matter what it is a good investment. They depreciate, they break down, you still have a payment, and don't let you have a crazy interest rate on them. It's just like basketball players. There's no great contract. Like, there's no
Wemby's a great contract.
Okay, so you got Wemby's contract, right? But think about it. There's one Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have every era, it's going to be 2 to 3 players that are worth it. All the rest of them are going to be somewhere along the spectrum. And guess what? If you want an NBA team, you have to have at least a couple players for people to come watch your product. So everybody not going to be Wemby, everybody not going to be LeBron or Kobe, but you still have to field a team. Case in point, they gave Darius Garland a max deal, right? And we said it was great because Darius Garland was under control and he's a young player, and they got the young core with Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley got his long-term extension. And then guess what? You realize that they weren't good enough to do it by themselves, so you have to move one of the guys. So the money is relative. Like, it's hit or miss. It is what it is. By the way, Jaylen Brown is on a great contract, right, McNuggets?
No.
I'm saying, for what Jaylen Brown was getting paid, Jaylen Brown was one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah, but now he's making.
Yeah, the issue is what he's about to make.
So now, right?
He's already making $58 million now.
Right, but you paid him that money to get a championship.
Yes.
So he delivered. Now you're like, oh, well, this don't look too good.
That gets me to my whole point.
There you go. That's a perfect setup.
It was great setup. Great setup.
You see what I'm saying?
I want to preface all of this by saying Donovan deserves every dollar of that extension. I am thrilled for Donovan. This was the right choice for Donovan. All those numbers you see on the screen right now, Donovan has earned and deserves every dollar of that. The issue is the dark side of this contract, and the back end of this contract could be absolutely catastrophic. The Cavs did not have a choice. They did not have a choice. They had to offer Donovan the Supermax Whether he accepted this summer or next summer was up to him, but they had no choice but to offer Donovan the Supermax, considering they traded all the assets they had for him. He has come to Cleveland. He has embraced the city. He has been the model operator and the model superstar you'd want to be the face of your franchise. They had to offer him the Supermax. The issue is, it is almost impossible to build a championship team in this second apron era when you are paying a Supermax to a player who is not a top 5 guy in the NBA. It is incredibly unlikely, highly improbable. I say highly improbable, not fully improbable, because we just saw Jalen Brunson win a championship in New York. The difference with Jalen Brunson is he took a $113 million discount so they could pay other guys to fill out the roster. Donovan taking a discount would not have impacted the salary cap this season whatsoever. Donovan taking the Supermax does not impact the salary cap for this season whatsoever. But can you pay a guy who's between the 8th and the 13th best player in the league top 5 money?
Yeah.
The Celtics just said we can't. Brad Stevens, at his press conference on Monday, said we couldn't bear paying Jaylen Brown the money he's making and the extension he wants, on top of paying Jason Tatum to build a championship team. Sam Quinn of CBS, and great graphic by Sam Quinn, put together the percentage of the salary cap that the top 2 players on each of the last 10 champions had accounted for. And if you want to take that graphic, I would appreciate it. As you can see here, these are the last 10 champions. Only one, Steph and Clay in 2022, accounted for more than 70% of the salary cap. Why is that important? The second apron was not a thing in 2022. The second apron came in later. The second apron is a de facto hard cap. Whether you want to call it a hard cap or not, teams are operating as if it's a hard cap. Case in point, the New York Knicks, who just won the NBA championship, who let Mitchell Robinson walk because their owner said we are not going to be a second apron team next season. Only one team since the second apron has been in place has been a second apron team, and that was the Cavaliers this most recent season. It is effectively a hard cap. Brad Stevens said Jaylen Brown and Tatum, those 2 by themselves take up 70% of the cap. We can't build the championship roster around those 2 with 30% of the cap and then go into the first apron. Donovan Mitchell on this contract and Evan Mobley on his rookie max extension are going to be close to 70% of the salary cap moving forward when their extensions kick in. And my big point, and that's a long way to get to it, is that the second apron is anti-team and it's anti-fan. You should never be put in the situation. Celtics fans should never be put in the situation. Cavaliers fans should never be put in the situation where they're rooting against their own players. Do you know what would have been good for the Cavs if Evan Mobley didn't win DPOY?
Yeah.
Seriously. It would have saved them $40 million and $8 million each year in the cap. Fans shouldn't be in the situation to where they want to root against their own guys to play well and to get these accolades, because in the long run, it handcuffs them.
Yeah.
Celtics fans should not have to root against Jaylen Brown and the 76ers next year because the team couldn't afford to keep a player that they drafted, that they developed, that they turned into a superstar, that they won a championship with, because they don't think he's worth the amount of money he is making and is going to make on this extension.
But
the second apron, real quick. I just want...
Go ahead.
We want to see teams stick together, stay together, especially when they're homegrown talent. And there has to be some sort of solution. Whether it's if you draft a guy and you re-sign him and he gets that 35% max contract, it only counts as 28% against the cap, where the player is not being penalized and the player is still able to maximize their earning potential without it completely limiting the team's ability to put a championship roster around them. And for the Cavs, Donovan is an ideal, perfect face of the franchise. He's exactly what they got, exactly what they wanted for when they traded for him. But in 2031, when he's making $75 million, is he going to be a top 5 player in the league? No. And he's going to be getting paid like a top 2 or 3 player in the league. And can the Cavs put a championship team around Donovan Mitchell when he's making that much money, when his play is most likely declined? He's not going to fall off a cliff, but he's going to be getting paid like a top 5 player when he's probably going to be in the range of 20 to 30. You can't put a championship team around that unless you hit on a lottery pick. But the Cavs aren't going to be bad enough to get a high lottery pick. It is a flawed system that needs to be fixed because the second apron is not allowing teams to retain their own players, to build the best possible teams. And for fans, rooting against your own players is in the better interest of building a championship team. And that's no fun for anyone. End of rant.
Now, here's the thing. Jaylen Brown right? They gave him the extension. Here's the thing. Yeah, it's a little difficult. You got to develop some people, but they developed Derek White, right?
Nah, they traded for Derek White.
Okay, but he wasn't what he was when he
No,
before
he blossomed there. Yeah,
Pritchard, right? They
Great
developed
hit.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, great hit. My thing is, if you're the Boston Celtics, you Tatum and Brown have shown when they're healthy, they can win you a championship.
Here's the difference. And pull back up the Sam Quinn graphic. When the Celtics won the championship,
Mm-hmm.
you know whose extensions hadn't kicked in yet?
Theirs.
Both of theirs. Look at the two most expensive players on that championship team for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday and Porzingis.
Right.
It was not Tatum.
Guys
and
they
Brown.
immediately moved on from.
So
Because they couldn't afford to pay and
That's
keep
right.
them.
well, here's the thing, you can't have it both ways. Sometimes you got to choose in a business. Are we maximizing today? Are we building for the future? You can't do it two ways. Right now, if you got people that you've developed and are great, the business model has to switch. If your business model is, you know what, we got these guys that's 28, 29 years old, they under contract. We got to strike while the iron is hot, because guess what? It's going to be a rebuild after they leave. It's going to be a rebuild. It's not no, hey, we got a 5-year window. What we got to adjust is the windows. Like, we know that Donovan Mitchell realistically, and LeBron James and all the rest of them, James Harden, this became a 2-year window for the Cavs.
Mhm.
And I don't got a problem if the Cavs go all in and figure it out. And then after 2 years, we all know what it is. We're going to be rebuilding, and let's keep it pushing. But you have to give them the money, because
I'm not saying they shouldn't have paid him. By the way.
No.
I would make it very. Donovan deserved the contract. My point is the system's broken. It has nothing to do with the Cavs' decision to pay. Donovan.
I think the apron was They kind of
overcorrection.
overcorrected the
Yes.
fact that
Overcorrection's a great way to say
yes,
it.
it overcorrected what we were seeing, because we had people teaming up. We had people saying, all right, let me just take less, and we're gonna all get together, and we got 3 of the top 15 players in the league. Everybody was doing it. People got tired, and I think the fans got tired of that a little bit as well. So they kind of overcorrected like they did with the draft. And now you have a situation where the draft, even if you're bad, you don't have a great percentage of getting the first pick anyway.
Nope.
So it's even more difficult for you to then build your rosters. I think they overcorrected too much. But I will say, when guys are getting into the game, you better have deep pockets. Like, ain't no such thing as the mom and pop owners. No. If you ain't got no other business, a hedge fund, you don't own property, you got a company that you behind. If you just wealthy, if you got the Dolan's money, that ain't enough in no basketball. When Mark Cuban got out, that should have told you something. When Shark Tank was like, ooh, I don't know, it's a little too rich for my blood, Zach.
Number one, it's a great advertisement for the summer league, because any team that's going to be good is going to need to find a guy in the second round or find a 23-year-old who's bounced around and put him in the rotation. Number two, Mike, you made a great advertisement for the fans. This was not the greatest system, and this is hard. But the reality is here, look, we talk about the Cavs right now, the next 6 months, 8 months, 18 months. The 3 wise men here. We got different opinions on what's best, on where they are. But I think we universally agree that you're not going to win a title with Donovan Mitchell as your best player.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at these numbers and you say, oh boy.
Yeah.
When the cliff comes, and again,
and
that's not dissing Donovan in any way. It's like, what have we discovered here the last 18 months? That you're not going to win a title with Donovan as your best player.
And we pull up the graphic now, the highest AAVs in the NBA right now. You're going to see a list here in a sec. Donovan, with his new contract, would technically be number 1, but because the contract isn't kicked in yet, I didn't put him. Let's just go through the list. These are top 6. SGA, good contract. 2-time MVP, worth it. Devin Booker worth $66.2 million right now. Could you win with Devin Booker as your best player?
Nope.
That's a bad contract. What? Not saying he doesn't deserve the money. I'm happy he got the money. It is really hard to build a championship team around Devin Booker. Tatum, coming off an Achilles. If he gets back to the player he was, then probably worth it.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not, no.
Yeah.
Embiid's the worst contract in basketball. Can't stay healthy. You're paying him $62. He also, by the way, in 3 years, will be getting $75 million. How do you think Embiid in 3 years is going to hold up from a endurance standpoint? Giannis, part of the reason that Milwaukee wanted to get off him was he wants an extension. He hasn't finished 3 consecutive seasons. And Jaylen Brown is making $57.1 million in the next 2 years, and then is asked already for an extension in Philadelphia, which is going to mirror Donovan's extension. Are you going to feel comfortable paying Jaylen Brown $75, $80 million when he's 35, 36? It's an it's a flawed system. And this is not the Cavs had to give Donovan that contract. If I was Kobe, I would have done the same thing. I'm happy Donovan's here in Cleveland.
Sure.
It's just the system is so flawed because you are rooting.
Yeah.
When a player's at the point where he can earn the most money, it is the worst time to actually pay him. As they get older, 33, 34, 35, that's when they're eligible for the most amount of money possible, and nobody should be wanting to pay. Nobody should want to pay. It doesn't make sense to pay those guys that much money when they're that old. The whole system needs to be broken down and reconstructed.
You know what this reinforces to me? Teach your kids to be 6'8". You see all those numbers in the 60s and the 70s? When Jared Verse signs his new deal with the Browns in a year, that's going to be his full guarantee over 5 years.
Right.
I
think this is just a microcosm of society. You really don't hit your stride of making the money you're supposed to make as a individual into your 40s.
Mm-hmm.
That is your area. And so when you're in your 40s, you better maximize and you better play hardball, because when you get to your 50s or 60s, you should technically be the most valuable, right? Because you have years of experience. People know who you are. There's name brand recognition. But they're saying, do I really want to pay this dude this amount of money to do these shows when I can go get this labor over here?
Yeah.
Some dudes right out of school. We get some sponsorships for these dudes and put them on the radio and get them Minimoski and be good. See, that's the way life and society works. So it's always going to be a pull and take in terms of it. But really, what they're doing is they're being retroactively compensated for the prime years at which they artificially limited the amount of money they were supposed to make. Yeah. Because if you was LeBron, you should have been like, I'm LeBron. Out of first year, I need a max deal, $250.
I wonder if they eliminated the standardized supermax, which is just 35% of the salary cap, whatever it is, or 30. There's two different levels. There's the max, supermax, max 30, supermax 35%. That's why it changes as the salary cap goes up. There was none of that, and you could offer a player whatever they wanted. I wonder how it would even out. Guys like Wemby, Jokic, LeBron in his prime would get more than that, but it would also eliminate you having to overpay for the non-mega superstars. Because, let's be honest, LeBron in his prime, whatever the supermax was a discount for LeBron.
He would be getting
it was
crazy.
A discount. But then the Jaylen Browns, the Donovan Mitchells, the guys in that were the Devin Bookers. They'd have a little negotiating room where you're not paying them like peak LeBron. You're paying them like the player they are, which is still an incredible player. You want those guys on your team, just maybe not at that same price tag.
It's a great discussion, and it's a great question. And you see why it has to be regulated in some. Because on the other hand of that, you get college sports where it's just the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
There has to be. I agree. We know what the shoe companies were trying to pay LeBron 23, 24 years ago.
Yeah.
So what if he'd been able to walk in the door and say, give me this?
Yeah, he was worth it. He was worth it.
Every penny.